Light the beam, Sacramento. The Sacramento Kings make the comeback. And boy, oh boy, they got huge nights from Malik Monk, De'Aaron Fox, and Domantas Sabonis, who's playing with a fracture in his offhand. That is crazy. 33, 31, and 31 from three dudes. That's Kings basketball. Wow, what a comeback. We're going to break it all down, man. I am hyped. Make sure you guys slap the like button. Smash it if you like that kind of stuff. It is 2022, but I don't know what y'all going to do in 2023. So let me know how excited you are in the comments below. What a game. It was a hell of a time if you were there. I had a hell of a time watching the game with my son, and oh my gosh, did I miss a dandy in person, because I can feel the electricity from the house. Golden One Center was rocking. You gotta love it, man. Playoff atmosphere. The best team in the West in the building on the home and home. Man, that was a good time. That was a great game. It was a bad game for the first 3 quarters, right? Especially the first 2 quarters. Like, that was bad basketball. The Kings were just treading water. But they're just too talented offensively, and when you can put up points the way they can, you're always going to have a shot. And if you get timely stops the way they did tonight, Davion Mitchell, y'all know I'm very upfront, I'm very critical, and I'm very fair. Y'all got to give Davion Mitchell his flowers today. I mean, that dude changed the complexion of the game defensively. That ball pressure was just so elite that it gave the Kings a shot. Davion Mitchell, man, round of applause for my guy. Round of applause, man. Davion Mitchell, you gotta love it. You gotta love it. Round of applause for the Ox for playing with the fractured hand. That takes a lot of guts, a lot of mental toughness. De'Aaron Fox hit him in stride. It hit the ball hit his hand, the bad hand, and he fumbled it. He was in pain, but guess what? On the following possession, they gave it to his other side, and he yacked it. So, Sabonis, my man, you are a tough son of a gun. That's awesome. De'Aaron Fox, Mr. Clutch in the fourth quarter. We'll pull up the stat right now. But De'Aaron Fox deserves a round of applause because De'Aaron Fox was a monster tonight. That dude is him. He's him. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, man. We gonna accept call-ins all night long. Make sure you guys let me know what you guys thought overall. What a night. What a night. My goodness. It is a good time to be a Kings fan right now. Holy smokes. Everybody was like, oh, I thought this game was over. Yada, yada, yada. Phone blowing up. It doesn't matter. The Kings completed the comeback. And you gotta love it, baby. You gotta love it. Let's light the beam right now. Let's light the beam with the scoreboard. Oh my gosh. 127-126. The Sacramento Kings improved to 18-15, 10-7 at home. And the Nuggets go to 22-12. Still first place in the West, I believe. You gotta love that, man. L Lobo says great win. Really needed that. Absolutely. You are right. We got the Shangoon video out earlier at 6 p.m. on the dot. That took me all day. It was a fun time making that video. So y'all make sure y'all check that out later after the stream because that is fire. Baby Sabonis, Alper and Shangoon. Shout out to the Turkish community out there that will watch it later today, man. Appreciate y'all and all of Rockets Nation as well. But the Sacramento Kings tonight, man, they were awful in the first half. You talk about a team that almost looked like they didn't even want to be there, if I'm being completely honest. And I think the fire that Sabonis plays with, it really inspired them to continue to go. Because if you're a teammate of Sabonis and you understand that that man is playing with a fractured hand, how can you not appreciate that, respect that, and play for him and play even harder knowing that man has a fractured hand? That's crazy to me. So if your teammate is giving it his all, understanding that he has a legit injury, not even supposed to be playing this game. But he understands the importance of this game and the rest of the games and how the Kings need him to be on the floor. That is gutsy. And if you're his teammate and you're not motivated or inspired by that, I don't know what to say. You shouldn't be playing basketball. But the Kings got the memo in the second half because they had not a phenomenal third quarter, but a good third quarter. And then that fourth quarter was stupendous. 33 points to 21. They held the Nuggets to 21 points in the fourth quarter. That is timely defense. That'll get the job done. What won't get the job done is 40 points in the first. But if you hold them 21 in the fourth, that gonna get a job done by 1 point. And that's all she wrote, baby. That's literally all she wrote. Man, what a game. Oh, my goodness. Sabonis. 31 points, man. 38 minutes. This guy played 38 minutes. That's insane. 2 turnovers, 1 block, 1 steal, 5 assists, 10 boards. Another double-double. Leads the NBA in double-doubles. 5 of 8 from the free throw line, obviously because of his hand. He was 2 of 2 from beyond the arc. That is insane. You got to understand that the offhand, you got to keep that straight. Like, that hurts every time you shoot that ball. So, round of applause, man. Sabonis was just special tonight. Harrison Barnes, let's leave him at the end, right? Let's talk about De'Aaron Fox and how clutch he was. That man was 12 of 21, 2 of 6 from beyond the arc, 5 of 5 from the free throw line. He's 5 of 5. I swear he missed one. That was definitely last night. But he didn't miss one tonight. 5 of 5, 13 assists, 31 points. That is an all-star, ladies and gentlemen. That is a De'Aaron Fox that we love to watch on a daily basis. That is him. A guy that's going to get you buckets. A guy that's incredibly clutch. You got to love it, baby. You got to love it. As a matter of fact, let's check out that stat that I'm talking about, okay? Profile. Here we go. Damn, he had 40, though. Let's pull this up for y'all. This season, and obviously the CNBC squad in the back had some fun with it, and they said, so really, I'd better ask Curry clutch field goal percentage leaders. De'Aaron Fox, minimum 60 total clutch points, okay? So this is the elite of the elite. De'Aaron Fox at 57%. That means Simons, Luka, Brunson, DeMar, they got to have a minimum of 60 clutch points. De'Aaron Fox is the leader in field goal percentage in the clutch at 57% and by a sizable 10%. That's a lot. Simons in second place along with Luka Doncic. Brunson at 45 and DeMar at 44. My goodness, De'Aaron Fox is him. And in the playoffs, when that happens this season, if they can stay healthy, it's going to be amazing to watch Fox go crazy because the big stage is meant for a player like that. A player that can get to a spot in the mid-range or wherever, honestly. Fox will thrive in the playoffs. When the game slows down, there's not a thing you can do to stop that man. He is too fast. He is too skilled, and his jumper is wet. That's a fact, y'all. Wow. Fans obviously going crazy on Instagram. Bolta barbecue. Bolta Korean barbecue. That's some crazy clutching. Light the beam by Mr. Rojas. He's just got to keep at it. Show it all year. People will give you more respect. Fire. I was a hater. I've been converted. We got the De'Aaron Fox apology forms for everybody. Light the beam. Let's go. Light the effing beam. What a gosh damn comeback. Yes, sir. Talked about that. Ivy could never. You gotta love it, bro. Let me hit that. He's consistent. It's Capitan. He's consistent with that one. You gotta love it. What happens when Fox plays 37 minutes? Again, we talked about that last night, right? Good things happen when your best player plays over 35 minutes a night, right? When he plays 29, 30, and I understand what the Kings are trying to do. They're trying to flex his minutes to where he's not ran to the ground. So that makes a lot of sense. But you're not good enough for that. And I talked about that last night. I talk about that every night. You're not good enough for things like that. And that's just the reality of the situation. So if I'm the Kings, he's 25 years old, and you got to play him. Point blank, period. You got to play this man a lot. That's what he wants. I'm sure he does. He's a competitor. He loves to play the game of basketball. You got to love that, man. You got to love it, baby. Again, 31 points and 13 assists. That's going to get the job done every single night. I'll take some calls right now. I'll take Javi in a little bit. Kevin Huerter, 18 minutes, 6 points. Obviously, Malik Monk had a monster game. I talked about that last night where we needed Malik Monk, that sixth man of the year, to step up, right? And he did that tonight. So you got to love that. I'm telling Javi to hold up real quick. Let me finish the box score now, and I'll let you guys in, okay? Malik Monk, man, 5 of 6 from the free throw line. He missed that big one, but he made up for it on the second one. Great move. I'll be honest, I don't think that was a foul. I thought that was a great anticipation, swipe down. But the Kings finally got one call to go their way, which is crucial in my opinion. It's about damn time he made the refs make a decision. That matters. And that holds weight when you put the pressure on the referee to call or not to call such a significant call that won you the game. So shout out to Malik Monk, 33 points, man. That's going to get the job done, 100%. As I said earlier, Davion Mitchell, you got to give him his flowers, man. He was 1 of 2 from beyond the arc, 2 of 4, 5 points. You may be thinking like, what the heck? Hey, man. Davion Mitchell was spectacular defensively. I mean, this dude brought it. He changed the game for the Kings. Fox and Sabonis took care of the rest. But without Mitchell, they don't win this game. He brought the intensity defensively, and you got to give him credit. I love it. Okpala, same. Defensively was a monster tonight. No reason why he shouldn't be playing 18 minutes a night. No reason. You play the man 15 to 18 minutes a night, good things will happen. It's a smaller role, but it's a role where he can thrive, go in, get some hard fouls, set the tone defensively, bring that toughness, bring that length. He's a Miami Heat player. You know he knows what it's all about to at least play solid defensively for 15 minutes a night. They got to put that man in. I know he's a liability offensively, even though he was 1-1 and had a huge three-point shot after it was in response to another three-point shot. So that's great. You got to love it, man. I love Okpala. I'm going to let Javi in a little bit. Let me see. Let me put the interview is off. Okay, here we go. The interview is on now. The link is in the bio. Let's take some calls. We'll keep going over the box score. We'll watch some highlights. We'll check out what others had to say in regard to Sabonis and whoever is talking in post-game. The link is in the bio. Javi or anyone that wants to call in right now. Let's check it out one more time. Let's screen share this. Okay. Trey Lyles, baby. He had a good game last night, and I felt like he had arguably, if not the biggest, one of the biggest plays of the game where he dove out of bounds on the baseline, and he put the ball back in place so Sabonis can get that dunk. That was huge. That was invaluable. So you got to love that. You got to respect that, man. Like, That was beautiful. That was beautiful. I give a lot of credit to dudes who hustle like that. So, shout out to him, man. Javi, follow directions, brother. I just put the damn link in the description. Click it. God diggity, man. Man, I love that crowd. Reminds me of the early 2000s during the Weber days. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. You could feel the electricity from at home from the television. You gotta love it, man. You gotta love it. The thing about KZ is that he needs to be in the right lineup. Having Davion and KZ together takes a huge toll on their offense. Absolutely, I agree 1,000% with that. You got to be able to flex those two guys. The problem is they're both bench players, so it makes it tough. It's Davion got to be better offensively. Like you saw the progression from his Baylor days. You're hoping that that happens with the Kings, but man, sometimes he just looks like he doesn't have it in terms of that confidence that he had at Baylor. You know, he had the ball a lot more. Obviously, that helps with your timing and rhythm. But in this type of a system, where again, I talk about this every night, in the split cut action, like you got to be able to move without the ball and then hit those open shots when you get those open opportunities. And he gets a lot of those. He gets so many wide open shots, bro. Like it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Jesus, Javi, legit man. He got Javi. Javi is he's not tech savvy, y'all. Javi's not tech savvy. Oh my goodness. Javi is not tech savvy. I gotta save him though and put it in the iMessage on my laptop because you know I'm just a good brother right there. Jesus, jeez Louise. Oh my goodness. Okay, here we go. Let's light that beam, bro. Let's light that beam, Jesus. Uh, let's put Javi in. Okay, is Javi in?
Can you hear me, brother?
Yeah, man, we are here. Javi is not the most tech savvy we got, man, but he's incredibly tough and incredibly smart, man. What's up, bro?
Hey, I'm a ball player, man. I'm not good. I always deliver when you need me to. So, hey, Kings fans, have yourself a night. Uh, Overall, watching, from the start to finish, the contest was at times unbearable, being down 19. But hey, you got to give kudos to not just Davion, but to Trey Lyles, man. You see down the stretch, uh, Fernandez went with De'Aaron, Davion, uh, Malik, Trey Lyles, and Sabonis. And I think fans get wrapped up in statistics sometimes, statistics from a first round pick, because, Davion's a first round pick. His production is not always going to be in that box score we have up. His defensive tenacity, the overall dog that he has in him, like you said, the tone that he sets, you said that without Davion, we don't win this game. The way he was playing, the guard that filled in for Murray tonight, um, Bones Highland, like, yeah, he had a good game, but Davion's pressing him from point A to point B, full court press, not giving him an inch, going under the screen, just setting the example of how we had to play defense to come down from a 19-point deficit to be able to come back and win that game. And that turns a potential 1-4 start on a 6 game homestand to now going potentially 3-3 if we can get the win against the Jazz on Friday. And we're 3 games over after 33 games into the season. Like, again, this is like the 18-19 year, but we're playing defense. And you've seen post-game Trey Lyles talk about Mike Brown saying one thing: continue to play defense. Like it's like music to our ears because
Right.
we know this team can score at will. I mean, you've seen it tonight. I mean, But when they get the stops defensively and they preach defensive principles and the schematic play design to emphasize defensive concepts as the number one important uh, factor to have execution and win ball games, they have success. And I was at the game last night, and granted, they lost by 7. They played fantastic. People were saying De'Aaron had to be more aggressive in the fourth quarter, take more onus. They get the bonus, or they get Domas back tonight. But De'Aaron says, to hell with that. I'm still going to go crazy. And he went 31 tonight. Him and Domas both had 31, but he was aggressive all night, made plays, wasn't taking no for an answer in the interior. And it shows even when we have a so-called injury to our best player or second best player or 1A, 1B, we still can have production and productivity from this surrounding cast. I just like overall, I'm very enthralled with what I watched, especially because I was at 96 last night. I thought we were going to find a way to muscle that one out when Allison started. But, they just faltered. I mean, they had 2 All-Stars that just really came up clutch last night.
Right.
Way to battle through and gain momentum and overcome adversity by splitting it with the number 1 seed in the West. Like, Kings fans, you got to be happy right now, man. Like,
Got
we
to.
had to hear about 19 and 15, 18 and 15 at this time 4 years ago with Jaeger. But I'm not saying it feels different, but it just feels like there's some stability here.
All right, let's take a tune on what Trey Lyles and the rest of the crew had to say.
What were your thoughts when Malik went to the line for those 2?
Oh, if he would have missed both, we was gonna be on his ass.
If he would have missed, well, he would have been on his ass. You gotta love that.
I'm sorry, but he was gonna be on his back. We believed in him, so he knocked it down, and we were able to get the win.
That's some good stuff there from Trey Lyles. I would have been the same, man. Let's see what Malik had to say.
Malik, you had even called yourself out a little bit last night. What was kind of behind that, and how much do you feel like your team really benefited from kind of having that swagger back?
Yeah, man. I just take responsibility, even if it's not my problem or my mistake. I just take full responsibility on everything like that, man, because it just made me lock in a little bit more mentally. And I was playing bad, so I just let everybody know and let everybody know I was going to shake back.
You love that attitude. He called himself out last night on Twitter, posted it. We talked about it. I was talking about that during the game. Like, this dude got to be better. Like, we need 6th man of the year, Sabonis. Sorry, 6th man of the year, Malik Monk. And we got that tonight. Let's see what Fox had to say.
What was your perspective on the play where Malik got baseline and got to the free throw line, and what was going through your head after he missed the first one?
I mean, I knew he wouldn't miss 2 in a row. I mean, he's hit a big free throw for us already, so obviously he missed the first one, but he's a 90+% free throw shooter, so wasn't worried about the second one. And even if he does miss, we get a stop, try to go to overtime and win the game.
That's the right attitude from your best player. You got to love that from De'Aaron Fox. You got to love that, man. You don't put your head down. You try and you uplift your teammates. And one last thing, let's see what Sabonis had on his IG story. Yeah. Uh-oh. You gotta love it, baby. Oh, man. Light the beam. Light the beam. Holy smokes. That's literally on his Instagram story right now. He is lighting the beam, man. Leo DiCaprio, arguably the greatest movie ever. Holy cow. That is great stuff there from Sabonis. That's the second time he does something funny. The first time was with I think it was the Will Ferrell one with Step Brothers. That was pretty funny. But after hearing all that, Javi, your thoughts on all 3 sound bites?
Just overall, what I was going to try to interject about 10 seconds ago is that Malik Monk showed us accountability. That's what we need to see. You seen, the responsible nature that Fox has is saying, yeah, I believe in him. He's going to make one of them. Not missing both. But if he happened to miss 2, which I would hate to hear, but he said, nonetheless, he has, the cooling, prevailing mindset of we're still going to come back and win that game in overtime. That's what you want to hear in Sabonis. I mean, he's the guy. You know what I'm saying? Like we are jaded as Kings fans earlier this year with the trade, but hey, it's paid dividends that he's the better player, and the better player for us at this time to make us a potential playoff caliber team as we're currently 7th, maybe 6th in the West at now 18 and 15. But I do want to comment on one thing you brought up earlier. I think KZ needs to play 24 minutes a night. I think
Okay.
he needs 6 minutes each quarter because what he does on the perimeter as a defender and the interior as a not so much a post defender presence, but he just creates the sense that the opposition's best player on the wing does not have free range of motion. You've seen when he went in the game, Michael Porter Jr. was shooting 3 after 3 after 3 after 3 in the first quarter. I'm not saying Michael Porter had a bad game there after the first quarter, but you've seen how he went from their primary scorer to, man, you kind of wonder where he was in the second half. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying he had a bad game at all, but KZ, along with Monk and Davion, need to be the first 3 off the bench in whatever order, and then you can, plug in the Lyles and the Holmeses and the Metsus and the Terrence Davis of the world.
So if
But
you're a head coach, how do you fix the issue with Davion and KZ being offensive liabilities?
you make sure you keep Herder and Monk on the court with them, because don't forget KZ was a starting 4 for us to start the first 3 games or so. You have 2 capable scorers, and if you want to run small per se, I'm not saying KZ can run the 5, but you could run Lyles at the 5, KZ at the 4. You put Herder and or Monk at the 3, and then you have Davion and De'Aaron, or if you just want to have De'Aaron take a blow, you have De'Aaron off with Davion and Herder in the backcourt with, or rather Monk, and then have Herder at the 3 position, small 4 position. But you just have to have 2 to 3 scores around him with at least 2 shooters with around him and Davion. But this is something that in past seasons that we can't find rationality in. Like, they have the logistics of that roster to be able to offset that. But we know the Kings have had kryptonite for the last 15, 16 years is because their defensive liability and their defensive inefficiency. They need to have a guy like that on the court when you're seeing the Nuggets scored 40 in the first quarter.
Yep.
Michael Porter Jr., like, he was about to win the 3-point competition. Like, he's a great player, but he ain't no step. He was knocking everything down from the perimeter. And until we can have a starting caliber small forward like Harrison Barnes that can consistently play defense, and he's not a bad small forward, but he doesn't play defense like that consistently to guard younger small forwards. KZ needs to play half of each quarter or find a way. He don't need 8 minutes. He needs 24 minutes, because to say he's a liability on defense, okay, or on offense, yeah, but he makes up for it on the defensive end 200%, because we can score as much as we want, but if we're not getting stopped offensively, Domas and De'Aaron can take the scoring load on their back. It's the defense that we need to make sure we give them a breath, because they're looking up like, man, I just put up a bucket and we just gave up a transition 3, or we just gave up an easy, wide open to the lane layup to the basket, or we gave up a nice uncontested field goal from the mid range because nobody rotated or we didn't communicate because people were being late and coming, slow in rotation. Those are things that KZ and Davion thrive, and most importantly, they get excited for. They live for that moment. So Davion is like, I might not put up 15 points tonight, but I guarantee the guy in front of me is not going to score 10. KZ's thinking,
Right.
I know I might not score 10 points tonight, but I guarantee I'm going to have, between deflections, rebounds, and fouls and assists, I'll have a collection of 10 amongst all those statistics combined. And people are like, oh, that's not nitty-gritty. That's not sexy per se, but it's what's necessary to win a basketball game consistently. There's that one player in every good team that is going out there looking to hit somebody in the mouth. And we need to have that from Davion and KZ consistently to show that we've came and overcome our defensive lapses from the last season and
Right.
last season there previous to that as well.
So let me make a point or a counterpoint to that about KZ playing 24 minutes a night. And Christian in the comment section says, watching KZ play defense was mesmerizing. Even when he got beat, he somehow found a way to poke the ball away and recover. That's some great stuff there. So earlier today, I woke up pretty early, fed the baby, and I started reading my emails, and I came across the Box and Done website. Phenomenal read. I highly recommend it. I'll probably put a link after I make my point. But, as basketball fans, as religious basketball fans, the positions, the terms have progressed and have changed a little bit throughout the years, right? It's no longer like the traditional point guard, shooting guard. We talk about positionless basketball, etc. We now talk about a stretch four, which, we can go back to Ryan Anderson, also a local guy here who got paid by the Houston Rockets, right? Like that slower white dude that can shoot the ball and stretch the floor. So we started calling it the stretch four. Then from there, those guys became unplayable once teams figured them out in the playoffs, which it was tough to play those guys. Then we went on to like, can we find that Draymond, right? And he used this guy used the term a strength four. So guys that come to mind that are not Draymond, because Draymond's so special that it's hard to get a Draymond. But other guys in that realm, PJ Tucker, Jay Crowder, those two guys have impacted their teams winning for many years. Like I was looking at the stats, like every time, and those dudes get traded a lot, right? Like they bounce from team to team. But every time they go to those teams have success. So this term, the strength four, that's a thing because now all these teams are looking for these types of guys. And guess what? The Celtics found another guy, right? They have one. He's a young one. But to KZ, I'm thinking about, I don't know if you remember the guy from OKC, Andre Roberson, when he was so elite defensively. I mean, this guy was clamps. But what happened with him? They could not play him. They literally could not play him in the playoffs. He was unplayable because he was so bad offensively. And some can say even guys like Matisse Thybulle, who, again, historic defender on so many levels, but it's hard to play guys like that. And I'm not saying KZ can't develop a probable, 35%. Like that's all he needs to be on the floor, but he hasn't proven that yet, which is why the Heat got rid of him. And he developed his game with the Heat. So that's a good thing. So they did most of the work. Now he's coming here bringing that toughness. And even with all that said, like you said, I think he should at least be playing 15 to 18. 24 maybe a little bit too much for my liking. But, hey, if he can develop a shot at 35% and if he can become the Kings' strength four, which he has the versatility to guard 2, 3, 4, like they got themselves a guy pennies on the dollar pretty much, right?
Well, you look at it, and like I said, what I previously stated in the last segment is that they need somebody to go out there and punch someone in the mouth, and that's a power strength four. But you look at PJ Tucker of the world and the Jay Crowder, those are what they need on their team to go out there. Those guys will go out there and punch someone in the mouth, hit someone in the mouth. Roberson for the Thunder before he towards Achilles, he might have been unplayable in the playoffs, but KZ hasn't shown offensive inefficiency in that manner. Like I know he might not be able to, like from what you deem a proficient shooter, but he hasn't looked like, oh my word, what was that when he threw up a shot in any game? Like
right.
Look at Rashawn when he threw up that Kareem 18-foot hook jump shot or hook shot. Like KZ has never put up a shot like that. He just doesn't include and involve himself in the offense because he knows that's not his strength. But he hasn't shown to us yet. I mean, he's made 3-pointers. He's made some easy bunnies and some field goals. Granted, he's not no De'Aaron Fox type of scorer, but I'm not in the place yet to say, yeah, my state of mind is he can't be consistently relied upon because of his offensive inefficiency. Nah, I don't believe that because PJ Tucker and the Jay Crowders of the world, and then you talk about the Boston Celtics, you talk about Grant Williams, the young guy. Those guys might be lacking scoring, but it's the toughness.
No, Grant Williams is an elite corner three-point shooter. Like he's that new PJ Tucker.
But you're saying that you're talking about the strength four. You're talking about Grant Williams in Boston, correct?
Yes, like he is like that guy's gonna get paid. So if I'm the Kings, 100%, I would swap him for Harrison Barnes right now today. He would make the difference at Kings. A guy that I can put on anybody. Like he is that new era, PJ Tucker type of guy. And the other guy that I missed was Dorian Finney-Smith, another stud, right? That is again, you have to have these types of guys around guys like Sabonis, Fox, Luka. Like they need these types of guys. But yeah, go ahead.
Well, not just need these types of guys. He needs to play. Like
yeah.
I love Terrence Davis, I do, but he's an undersized shooting guard.
Right.
That if he's not hitting from all cylinders from three, I don't know why he's out of the rotation, but it must be a defensive lapse in regards to execution. Like I said, we had a multitude of scores in the team, but if you're going to come off the bench, you got to be able to play defense. You have to. And I just look at it right now where we look at things in the macro. You said 24 minutes might be too high. Well, hey man, I'd rather us play defense and find a way to score at the end rather than us have to always catch up because for over half my life, the Kings always been trying to play catch up. And, we caught up today. But if we set the tone defensively, you see how much in this season, you see how much better the game flows, the victory is, and most importantly, the overall result and outcome of that contest will then finish. Because when you dominate the defensive side of the game and defensive end of the court, offense will then come from defense. That's how good basketball teams play. Offense wins games in any professional, any sporting event, but defense wins you championships. And that's why Mike Brown preaches that, because he's coming from the best organization in the NBA right now. And I'm not trying to talk about them, but what I'm saying is you see in the post game with Lyles when he said Mike Brown telling his Fernandez, rather, Jordy, the associate coach, Trey Lyles is saying, yeah, he's telling our assistants, like, yeah, keep playing defense. That's all he's talking about. They're going to score at will, but can you play defense 48 minutes and lock in? Davion's bread and butter, what he's good at, his, forte, defense. KZ's made his way in the league playing defense. We don't have no defensive stalwarts, but those two guys to play. Going into the Utah game, they need to have KZ playing Lauri Markkanen when they go to the second unit.
That's going to be a dogfight.
Yes, it is. But I don't want to see, no disrespect, I don't want to see Terrence Davis or Malik Monk having to cover Lauri Markkanen. I don't even want to see, Trey Lyles maybe. I'd even throw Metsu out there. But again, that's going to be the key. Is when they have to sub out Barnes to give him a blow or Herter, who's going to defend Markkanen? KZ needs to be the one. Because it's not about him being the right player. He's the fit that we need on the perimeter to help the Sabonises and Fox. We're talking about we need to have a KZ type player on the roster. We can have him on the roster, but he needs to actually participate and play. And you've seen tonight, think about the Wizards game. You don't think KZ could have helped us defend Kyle Kuzma on Friday? 200%. But somehow he wasn't in the rotation, which I don't understand why. But again, I'm not the head coach. I'm a Division III guy. But you look at KZ, you tell me Kyle Kuzma would put up all them points against KZ? Hell no. But again, they realize that the Wizards aren't that much. The Wizards are no way 15 points better than the Kings, 14 points better than the Kings. But when you don't play defense, it will come out to be that in regards to the overall result. And you have to understand that going into each and every contest. Like I've learned this year, Leo, genuinely I've learned this year. You look at the league, this is the NBA, dog. Everybody has talent. Everybody can play basketball. Like, I used to think, the Kings are just going to run. Bro, these dudes are professional basketball players. They might have a bad team, but they all can play, they all can hoop, and they all can score. And you better know that. You take any of them lightly, they're going to beat your ass. And that's just the fact of the matter.
And now Wizards team is actually really talented. And I don't know why they overlooked. Why would you overlook them when they just beat the Sixers last night?
Well, not just that. We lost to Charlotte.
But that Charlotte team is also talented. They've been banged up all year.
They're like one of the worst teams, not the worst team in the Eastern Conference, but they've
been injured all year.
They are talented.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And look at the comment. Tonight's game showed us how we can use TD and other pieces for a trade. If I'm trading TD and Rashawn, it got to be for a not a monumental piece, but for a
backup five.
Building block. And I'm not saying like an all-star player, but I'm not just trading just to get rid. I'm not trading him and Rashawn just to get rid of him. I'm trading all right, we gotta when we got Harrison Barnes at the deadline 4 years ago, 3 years ago, we get a Harrison Barnes type player. Not obviously maybe that caliber, but we're not just gonna let them go just to let them go. You know what I mean? We need to get something that can actually benefit us. A stretch 4 or a stretch 5 that can come off the bench and really spell Sabonis. I don't know if that player's out there right now that's up for trade per se, and I don't know if even if they are up for trade, are they gonna be willing to take back a Rashawn Holmes and or Terrence Davis and a first round pick or two? But I'm not opposed to it because again, I love TD, but you see the Kings when they need defensive, reinforcements from the bench. And they need to have a second unit come in there and do what they're supposed to do. It's the defensive side of the ball that they have to continue to emphasize because they're going to score from the Monks of the world, Trey Lyles, to obviously Kevin Herter is not a bench player, but you have Rashawn Holmes, Davion, and like I said, we've seen tonight with KZ. Those three got to play defense to sure up the second unit. And
Yeah.
even Metchie, when he gets his run, he's a rim runner. He's not even in rotation right now. You know what I mean? Like, but between the Malik Monks and the Trey Lyles of the world, I think that's enough bench scoring. I mean, if you want to put bench score, but it's pick your poison. Do you want to have the third scorer off the bench, or you want to have the third defender off the bench? That's really what you got to come down to and decide. Looking at it from the grand scheme of things. You know what I'm saying, Leo?
Okay, so David Martin says, who would you have guard Clarkson? I think we're going to see a lot of Fox to start off the game on him. And then obviously Davion Mitchell will be on Clarkson, who is having just an insane year. For a guy that's been a sixth man his entire career, he has really taken advantage of the opportunity that the Jazz have given him, which is upping his value as well. They're a team which I have watched at least 4 games from them, and they are extremely fun to watch. It's a team full of mishaps, like guys that they just put together, and it's working, right? But they don't scare me now or even long term because they don't have like a guy that I can say is a legitimate like number one. I see Laurie as a high, low end 2, but mostly like a 3 on the championship team. And that's not a disrespect. I think he's like, I would love him on this team, but I don't see anything like that, which is why I thought they'd be, tanking for a guy like Wemby. But they're playing so well that, they have enough assets to actually go get themselves a guy, if we're being completely honest. Like, they have all the role players. Like, they got role players that every team wants, right? So they can easily go and be like, well, hey, I'm Utah. I'm a small market. Guys ain't gonna sign here. So let me make it. I got a billion picks. I'm Danny Ainge. Like, he has that type of cachet. So it'll be interesting to see what Utah does at the deadline and where they're at by the deadline. But when you have a team like Utah, you got to beat them down. As we can see in the standings right now, they are ninth. They're ninth at 19 and 18. The Kings are sixth at 18 and 15. The Denver Nuggets fall to number 2, and the Pelicans, after a insane comeback. I mean, they ended up winning by 1 against the Minnesota Timberwolves tonight. That was crazy. And the T-Wolves fall, a team that was a lock because of what they did last year, making a huge trade like Gobert. They're 16 and 19. Obviously, no Cat the last 3-4 weeks, which has been huge for them. But you would think that with a guy like Gobert and no Cat, that they could sustain some of that, especially that's a $200 million player we're talking about. And they gave up everybody. Guys like Vanderbilt, who I would love on this team. But I don't think the Kings have the pieces to get a guy like Vanderbilt because he's 23. He is a strength 4, a guy that can hit take one shot a game, make it. He has a little floater there, and he's elite defensively. So guys like that don't grow on trees, even though I would love a guy like that. And he's making $4 million, which makes it very tough to even get a guy like that because you can't give up Harrison Barnes because he makes too much money. So right now the Kings are in a very weird situation with certain players that are on, weird numbers that if you try and go get a guy that's an expiring deal, they're making, a little bit of money. Charlotte has a bunch of those guys where you're just like, damn, like I can't give up anybody because my $4 million don't match up with their $4 million type of player. And we'll get into that a little bit later in the show, but the Kings get back to 6th, which I hope they stay there, right? Again, I talk about this every night. Let's not be the Cavs of last year, where the Cavs started with 3-4 all year long. They got some injuries. Then they ended up falling into the play-in and got eliminated by the Trae Young team, who, again, in a 1-game elimination, anything can happen. And the Kings don't have the experience to win a game like that. And if they face, say, a team like LeBron, AD, a healthy team like that, or even like the Warriors, a healthy Steph Curry, I would not like their chances to win a 1 game. In the series, the Kings would beat them, right? Not the Warriors at full strength, but like the Lakers for sure. But that's what I'm trying to avoid is if I'm flirting with, 3 to 6 all year long and you get some injuries like this and you fall, that's why I say you got to go out and upgrade your roster, right? If you don't think Rashawn, KZ, or those types of guys, that's fine. Ultimately, it's going to come down to whatever Mike Brown wants. If Mike Brown wants an upgrade, you got to do it, man. You know what I'm saying,
Yeah,
Javi?
I was just seeing that Denver had slipped to number 2. They were number 1
Yeah.
and third. Is a team
Yeah.
we're gonna play
I mean, they pretty
right
much
on.
won.
Yeah, right at the end of the homestand, we're gonna go play Memphis after we play Dallas. Excuse me, we play Utah on Friday, get that done, and then we'll play Memphis, come back, play Atlanta, LA. But I hear what you're saying, but as long as we continue to play schematically on the defensive end of the ball and execute our concepts and continue to do that, which we didn't do majority of the night, but if we can just play defense and they need to add a defensive interior player, a stretch 5, or somebody just to spell Domas for the likes of Rashawn and a Terrence Davis. At this
Right.
point, I'm not saying I'm for it, but I'm not against it because I was really against and apprehensive to trade Terrence Davis. And I'm not in any way trying to say I'm off the Terrence Davis train, but you see, we can score with anybody, but we
Yeah.
got to be able to play defense. And you look at teams that win in this league. Look at the Western Conference right now. I mean, the teams that are in the top 3, top 4, all play defense. Top 4 in the East, all play defense, and that's just the name of the game because anybody in the NBA that's in the league can score or should be able to score whenever they feel like it. But the teams that take themselves over the top and that consistently contend for a championship and playoff spots every year are teams that lock in and play
Well, let's look at
defensively
it. Okay, so
at high level so they can do
right.
that.
So let's look at the defensive rating league wide right here. Number 1 is Cleveland. Number 2 is Philly.
You look at it. You look in the record right now.
Number 3
Yes.
is Milwaukee.
Yes.
Number 4 is the Clippers.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5 is the Grizzlies. Number 6 is the Pelicans. The Celtics are 7. The Heat are 8, which, they've struggled all year, but that's one thing that they will do is play some defense. They're struggling offensively. And Oklahoma, surprisingly, in the top 9, the Knicks 10. Where are the Kings? The Kings are 21st. So, they got some work to do.
Look at the top 7.
Right.
I mean, look at the top 7 are literally 1 through 4, 1 through 3 in their conference. Literally, look at it. The
Except
top
for the
7
Clippers.
are 1 through 4, 1 through 3 in their conference respectively.
Right. But the Clippers at full strength are just arguably one of the scariest teams, if not the scary. That team is scary. They're deep.
Third in the West right now. Kawhi playing significant time playing this year because of his injury. He's coming back from be able to play. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the top 7 teams of defensive efficiency are top 3 or top 4 in their conference respectively. That tells you all you need to know. Yeah, the Oklahoma City Thunder are 8, okay, but we know Oklahoma City, man. Like they're building for like 2038, and they just have talent.
Hey man, I love OKC.
I love the GM that can play like that and just build picks and keep his job without having to win.
Boston number 1 offensively. Denver number 2. The Suns 3. Nets 4. Utah 5. Pelicans 6. The Kings are 7th. Mavericks are 8. So I've said this in the past. The Kings got to be a top 5 offensive team and got to be at least top 17, top 16 defensively, right? Like those are the numbers that we want to hit to be a top 6 team, because when you're elite offensive, which the Kings, I mean, they're right there in terms of being a top 5 team. They're 0.4 away. So there isn't a huge disparity like that. That could change next game. But the Kings got to hit those numbers. They got to be top 5, and they got to be at least top 16 to be a playoff team, because that makes you an elite offensive team with timely stops. I don't think the Kings will ever be elite defensively, not with this roster, but if they make some moves, who knows?
If they're 5th or better in total offensive efficiency, offensive rating, and they're 15th or better defensive rating, they'll finish 6th or better in the West.
Yep.
Anything like that, they're going to be in the play-in. That's just, they can't even be 16, Leo. They got to be the top half of the league defensively to finish in the top 6, in my opinion. If they finish anywhere below 15, they'll be in the 7, 8, 9, 10 range in regards to having that play-in contest to further advance in the playoffs at this time. But I'm happy right now, man. We're almost halfway through the year, dog, and we're 3 games over. Like, I can't complain. At this time last year, we were like 8, 7 under. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was the feeling of this team was like, man, this is trepid. Where are we going? We got 2 guards that can't play together. We got Buddy Hield that doesn't want to be here. Marvin Bagley's always hurt, etc. The whole think about 365 days ago where we were, and think about where we're at right now. Like it
Right.
just it feels good, build off this win and the homestand on a winning and 500 note. Get the win against the Utah Jazz on Friday. Make sure we key for marketing and Clarkson and do what we and build off tonight and go into the road trip that quick road trip we got when we go play Memphis at 19-15. And let's try. I don't know if you guys had seen if we would have beat the Washington Wizards on Friday, being the first time the Sacramento Kings were 5 games over 500 since 2004, 2005.
Right.
I'm still looking to come and accomplish that goal. Get that off the bucket list because it's been 17 years since they've been 5 games over 500. They win the next 2 games, they'll be at 20-15. Kings haven't been over 5 games over 500 in 16 years,
That's
17.
nuts.
A long time, man.
Right now, the Kings on teamrankings.com, they're 15th, and they have a 56% chance to make the playoffs. I like those odds.
I like them too. And they're right in the middle.
Yeah.
Right in the middle.
They're right in the middle.
Being a team that drafted 4th overall in the summer to being 15th overall, 33 games in. And ladies and gentlemen, everyone listening, in 8 games, we're halfway through the season. Like, just let that soak in. In like 2.5 weeks, 2 weeks, we're going to be halfway through.
Right.
And we're 2 weeks through, or we're 2 weeks now, looking at this team, and 41 games through, we're 23-18, 22-19. I'm happy camper. I'm just going to be honest with you because we're playing basketball that's competitive. You look at last night. We competed with the best team in the West to the last minute. Tonight, we came back against the best team in the West down 19-1. When can you say that's happened in the last 4 years with the Kings team playing the number 1 team in any conference? You can't. Because the team is focused on playing defense, but to add to this, to make sure we can have this, sustainability and something that we can build off of going into the second half of the season, and to improve our team, we need to keep adding. If we're going to acquire anybody through, trade before the actual trade deadline comes about after the All-Star break, we gotta find a way to add some defensive big men in the interior. Unless they're going to play Lynn, or find a way to get Holmes more incorporated. I mean, Holmes does this thing out there. He looks like a shell of himself. When he started last night, or when he played last night, rather, he had those hook shots.
Push shots.
He has the push shots, like he's over here, throwing the shot put in the basket like he did when he was playing for Walton, and the coach took over for Luke Walton, but
Alvin Gentry.
But at that time he looked like a formidable starter. But Sabonis just makes the Alvin Gentry and Luke Walton led Kings teams with their center look like a whole different world ago. You know what I mean? It's something against Rashawn. But we thought Rashawn was a great player. I think he's a good center. Sabonis is a all-star player, and we're seeing it. And it's not against Rashawn, but making $12 million a year on a team when he's making that money playing 12 to 15, 20 minutes at most a night, I don't see the logic in that. I can't see the rationale in somebody averaging 12 minutes a night making $12 million a year. And it's not against him. It was a bargain deal at the time, but I feel like somebody else could use him and get more out of him.
Okay, so let's take a look at KZ Okpala's B-ball index metrics right now. He's 23 years old, which fits perfectly with his timeline that people love to always mention. And we talk about offensive liability, right? And his perimeter shooting grades aren't great, but it's a C. It's a 48 percentile, which isn't terrible. I've seen a lot worse. Guys like Thibault is a lot worse. So, yeah, that's not that bad. Catch and shoot 3-point percentage, 41 percentile, C-. But what I'm looking at, and which makes a lot of sense for a team like this, is his off-ball movement grades and his movement attack rate, which let me give you guys the description of what that means, which is the percentage of half-court, non-miscellaneous, and putback possessions that a player derived from off-screen possessions and cuts. That's a perfect player to have with a guy like Sabonis, who will find you every time on the cut. Grade A, 91st percentile. That is elite. So you got to love that, right? And then when you go to his on-ball defense, we see it every night. It's definitely an A. He ranks in the 91st percentile. that is some good stuff there. Obviously, there are areas of improvement. Obviously, this is also in, a low amount of games where he hasn't played that much, but enough to be in the grade system and enough to see that he can play some defense. So you got to give him some credit there. And then when you look at his interior defense, it's not bad. I mean, percentage of rim shots contested, B, which is 67 percentile, rims contested per 75 possessions, B, blocks per 75 possessions, B, block rate on contests, B minus. We saw that today, right? Where I think he had a block on that kid Concha, who was just a beast, by the way. That kid's athletic as hell. He a white boy, but he got some ups and some bunnies.
He can shoot.
Yeah, and he can shoot. But his block rate on contests, B minus. He's there. Like, his defense is solid, man. And you just gotta take advantage. You got nothing to lose if you're the Kings and everything to gain. Like, if this don't work out, give him a fair shot. And if it don't work out, you move on. You have guys like Lyles, you have guys like TD who you can just plug and play. But right now, I think we're all in the greens, and I've been saying this since the first day. And y'all know I've been very consistent since day one. I said bring HB off the bench as a ceremonial, right? Like a sixth man. I mean, he's going to play 30 plus minutes. I was always saying that. But start KZ, take the pressure off of Fox, put him on the other team's best player. Sub him out at the 6 minute, 5 minute, wherever, 7 minute mark if you want. But just set the tone defensively and just go from there. They actually did that, right? Where he was starting, but I think
Murray.
Right, instead of Murray, and then he just didn't play for a while after that, and he's kind of been just like the black sheep of the team. So every time he comes in, you do see a little bit of a difference there.
And you've seen Conchar tonight, man. Lights out from the perimeter, man. Then like I said, you've seen KZ come in the game, and I'm not saying he locked him down, but when he came in the game defensively and entered the floor or entered the court and took the floor for them in the second quarter, I mean, Porter and Conchar play different. Like, I'm not saying that they didn't do their thing, but just look again. They put up 40 in the first quarter. They had like 6 threes in the first quarter. KZ needs to find a way to take 24 minutes and get into the game to set what they have defensively for half of the contest. If that's a stretch, then oh well. Because I'm not here debating the Kings' offensive acumen and offensive productivity, but they're going to win, lose, and make the playoffs with their defensive execution. And he is, I think, I wouldn't say he's better defender than Davion, but at times, man, he just does things that we haven't seen here in I don't know how long. Since Ron Artest was here? You know what I mean? Like, how long has it been since we've had a defender like KZ on this roster? And I'm still waiting to see. I want to see Moneki. Maybe he's not ready, but I still want to see what he can do. Cause I know he's an experienced Nigerian player, Nigerian national player that played for Coach Mike Brown, that is a defensive specialist. I want to see him play too. But they call him up and they get minutes with Stockton, gets recalled, then gets him back down because, gets some, playing time, experience, minutes, etc., reps. I just want to see it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why. The time that we can use to see if he can play in the perimeter will be a good time to assess, like, hey, what perimeter defenders do we have? But, hey, they know more than me. Obviously, they work with him every day, so they'll play him when they see fit and deem that he's ready to go. But, KZ needs to be playing a lot. Not like 35 minutes a lot, but I still think he's playing half a quarter. That's just me. I'm not saying you got to start him, but he needs to be when they had that first rotation substitution, when they put Davion in the game and they put Monk in the game, KZ needs to follow suit.
Okay.
Period.
Okay. Well, after looking at the grades, he definitely fits that part of a defensive specialist on the perimeter and the interior. He's doing a great job there. So kudos to KZ Okpala for staying ready. Obviously has a lot of familiarity with a guy like Coach Brown playing for the national team. And, he comes from a great organization like the Miami Heat. So great stuff there. Is there anybody else tonight that stood out to you or that you thought was just really bad?
Bad?
Yeah. I guess
I mean, it's
HB. Let me
just crazy
see.
to look at the box score that Rashawn literally didn't score. You know what I'm saying? Like that. I mean, he was 0 for 1 and had 1 rebound in 10 minutes. Like I just remember the Rashawn that had that shot put floater that was
And he was
just
a +5
hit you
too.
15. Huh?
And he was a +5.
I know. I'm saying I'm used to Rashawn when he was a starter getting 15 and 8 every night, and now it's like, man, I can't find a stat for him. It's just crazy. I mean, he played well though in his minutes. I mean, it's just how they're trying to balance out we're gonna play Holmes and then Kada and then Lynn. Well, not really Lynn, but
He
Holmes and
was
Kada and then
solid
Kada
though. I
Lynn
mean,
or
he
Kada
stayed
and then
vertical.
Holmes. No, I'm
Holmes
saying the
stayed
season he played in
vertical.
the backup
Like
center
he
for Sabonis.
right, but like he did things that didn't show up in the box score today. He played solid rotational defense, and he was hustling. Like that's what you want to see. That's what Mike Brown wants to see from a guy like him that's going to play 6 to 12 minutes a night, because Sabonis is going to play 35 to 40 minutes a night. So he doesn't have to have, these crazy rebounds and all these points. Like he just has to play defense and just stay vertical is what Brown is told me. I mean, I asked him the question. He said, I don't want a guy that fouls. And to your point, you've been a huge advocate of DeMarcus Cousins, and so have a lot of people. But as I told you over the phone, DeMarcus Cousins is the antithesis of what Mike Brown is looking for, like in a backup center. Like DeMarcus fouls a lot. He doesn't play any defense. He's toxic on the court, and that's not going to work for a backup big. And the analogy I gave you was, well, if he's not the backup for Nikola Jokic over DeAndre Jordan, who was god-awful with Mike Malone as a head coach, why would anybody else give him a shot?
This is true. I think it's just probably sentimental and nostalgic feeling, but
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying about Rashawn. Like I said, same thing about Davion, where his presence isn't felt in the box score. It's just, you ask who was kind of a disappointment. I mean, Herter tonight, 2 for 5, didn't do a whole lot. I mean, he had 3 misses from the field. He had 2 threes that he made. Murray was kind of non-existent, at least offensively, and Barnes was aggressive. He just didn't convert. He took 8 shot attempts. You like seeing Monk and Fox having the same amount of shot totals, but you'd hope to see Herter and Murray put up more shots. But I'm not really unhappy with anybody. Collectively, I was unhappy with their defensive execution the first 3 quarters and what they're showing on the defense and in the court, and the productivity or lack thereof the first 3 quarters or so. But hey, I can't, I'm going to sleep tonight like, hey man, I'm ready for Friday. Tomorrow, Thursday, take the day off, practicing, get a walk through, go over film, and get ready to play the Utah Jazz and try to go in to that road trip against the Grizzlies at 19 and 15. And like I said, we're in top 6 right now. And if we want to stay in the top 6, we got to aim to stay 15th or better in the West defense, or 15th or better in defensive efficiency the whole year long with what we have 82 games in. And then we got to stay in the top 5 offensively. And I think we'll be top 6 because the West is lethal. Look, we're 18 and 15 and 6. The number 1 seed in the West right now is 22 wins. I mean, it's like you slip up a half inch, a centimeter, you can go from 6th to 10th in 2 nights.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, that's how the West is, man. The Wild Wild West. The teams in the West just have, I'm not saying the East don't have talent, but just look
the East
at
is the same way, though. I mean, right now, the East has really elevated their game, which before the year, like the East was a bloodbath, right? And we had 9 really good teams, and right now they're just starting to. Miami's picking up their play. I mean, they've won two in a row. They're 18-17 now. The Knicks are 18. Like, there's a lot of good teams too. And
first seed in the East compared to the 10th seed are 10 games different. Go look at the West. The differential. The first seed in the West is what, 4 games worse than the 10th seed. That's a huge discrepancy, dog. 4-game difference compared to 10-game difference in the East. I mean. And you win 2 games compared to the Warriors winning 2 games, and the Pelicans lose 2 games. Look how much ground the Warriors have made up. If the Bulls win 2 straight and the Nets lose 2 straight after the Bulls win 2 straight, the discrepancy isn't as.
But I can argue that the East has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 better teams than the West. I think Boston's better than everybody else. Milwaukee's better than everybody else. Brooklyn, if healthy, is better than everybody else. Cleveland's healthy, they're better than everybody else. Philly is my only, not a team that I'm confident in saying that, but those first 4 teams, they're better than everybody in the West.
Everybody except Philadelphia, you said, the first 4?
Yeah, like those first 4 are really good. You know what I'm saying? So, yes, there's more from top to bottom in the West, like you said, more, but the East is right now more top heavy. Like they got really good teams. So as you said, the West is wide open for everybody, and I mean that. So if you're Monty McNair and you're watching this and you're just like, damn, like this is my chance to maybe get a 3 seed, to maybe get a 2 seed. Like it's not crazy to actually say that this year. The West is wide open. So make some moves, improve the roster, and let's get cooking. Don't wait till the deadline because, as we've seen in the past, it takes a while to get comfortable with each other, especially if it's a big move. If it's a smaller type of move, it's just fine, I guess, right? Like if you're adding depth, that's fine. But if you're planning on making a big move, it's always difficult to bring somebody at the deadline, as we saw with HB a few years ago when they were actually decent. And the second half of the year was not good, and that's when they fired Dave Yeager.
Tumultuous, yeah. I just see there's a lot of parity in the West, and yeah, if we're gonna make a move to separate ourselves from the parity that's being displayed in the Western Conference, we should make it sooner rather than later. But I'm happy going into tonight. Going into Thursday, the day that they'll have a full practice and some film, and get prepared for Friday against Utah Jazz. Man, I'm happy with it overall.
Well, I appreciate you, brother. Let's call it a night tonight. We've been on for an hour now, hour and 6 minutes. The Kings won a barn burner of a game. It was insane. The team never gave up. We don't know when Mike Brown will be back, right? But Jordy is doing a good job. He's really given Rashawn Holmes a longer leash than Mike would ever, because something tells me that if it was Mike, he would not be playing him. I don't know why, but it must be the first 20-plus games that's giving me that type of feeling. But I just feel like Jordan rocks with him. He's a different coach.
He's a defensive coordinator. He sees what.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Mike, but he knows like what he's looking for defensively in their schematic plays. Because he's their defensive coordinator. I think Brown oversees all of it, but when Rashawn makes that one mistake, doesn't play with his chest up and chest out and stay vertical, he's all right. You're out.
Yeah.
I think a little more run, a little more leeway, but we'll just see how day in and day out, man. A sprint is a marathon. We just gotta take it day by day. That's it.
All right, y'all. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. This show will be available on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your pods. The chapters will also be here just in case y'all want to check that out as well. Thank you guys so much for all the love and support, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.